Welcome, class. This is Professor Digital Sticks, and today we're going to discuss the economics of VR headsets. And, of course, to make this professional, I'm coming to you from the hot tub here at the Volt Club. All right, so there is some economic considerations here, and basically with the backlash on the HP Reverb G2, it's time to get realistic here. The people that are backlashing on the HP Reverb G2, a lot of them are defending the device because of the option to add a hybrid setup to use index controllers. And yet the same people, some of the same people will actually still backlash against the suggestion of an index kit because it costs $1,000. So we're literally talking about being upset about a $600 device getting a bad review as a standalone kit because people want to consider how the device would be as a $1,300 kit by the time you add the necessary index accessories to make it good. And that's just, it's time to do some math, people. Time to do some math, or find somebody that knows how to do math and ask them, does this add up? Because it's ridiculous to criticize a $1,000 kit while wanting those features at any cost to be added to a $600 kit. So, until the Reverb G2 came out, the biggest consideration when it came to hybrid setups was for full body tracking for VR chat for the most part. And so to add full body tracking, the only legitimate, worthwhile way to have full body tracking still in 2020 is the Vive trackers. There are some ways to use other ways. There's other ways to get it, but they're gimmicky. They're not going to create the ability to dance fluidly and look good in VR. And anyways, so that said, a lot of people have come to that reality is almost fully accepted now, and you need to have base stations before you can use Vive trackers. And then from there, there's software that allows you to make it a hybrid setup inside Steam VR with any headset that works inside Steam VR. Well, from a tracker perspective, to add full body tracking, it's pretty good. There are some downsides to using a hybrid setup. There's just some extra hassles that the setup isn't terribly difficult, but you do have to do it, and you got to do at least an initial calibration. And depending on how well your main headset keeps its tracking, if it allows the play space to drift one way or the other over time or between uses, then you're going to have to repeat that calibration setup every time that's occurred to keep things where they should be. So that is an unknown right now with the Reverb G2 also. But if you're going to go with that setup, then you have the cost of base stations as part of that setup. So for like VR chat, full body tracking is a strong consideration, something that almost everybody that wants to play the game is going to want. And if you know this up front, you should consider that, if possible, for the device that you're choosing. Because if we consider base stations as an essential component of the VR system that we want, then suddenly the index still costs $1,000, but a Quest 2 starts at $570, and that's assuming base station 1s at their current price on Amazon. Take note, the index includes base station 2s. Their current price on Amazon is $200 each. You would need 2. So the index, out of the box, has a $400 additional value, or has $400 worth of base stations. But since all you essentially need is 1.0s, we're going to discuss it in terms of a $270 cost. And the $270 is assuming you have Amazon Prime for the free shipping. But, all right, all said, this $270. I really should keep it simple and just call it $300, but I digress. So $570 for the Quest to come with its other limitations of comfort question marks, and the audio compromise, which you're going to want headphones or whatever, and the additional calibration steps that are going to be needed, who knows how often, to make the play spaces work, and the additional steps you need to connect through Link. And now I think Virtual Desktop works a little bit better. It may now, when it was first launched, it did not work with Space Calibrator. Like, I could calibrate, but before I even got to the Mira inside the home world, my trackers and the rest of myself was drifted by a foot or so in either direction and just getting worse. I think that's been improved now. That test was before the Oculus Link, which allowed G. Godin to represent the Quest as a Quest through Virtual Desktop. So, anyways, so it used to not work. I think it works now. So then that's a wireless option, which is definitely interesting, but it also may require more calibration more often. But in any case, you have to do extra steps to keep that system working. And you don't get to decide when those extra steps are necessary. So if you have your heart set on VR chat and you're jumping in, you put your trackers on and everything else, and suddenly you got an update to download or different things to do, you just got to go with that before you're back in your game. And if something breaks something, then you just got to wait until developers fix whatever broke. None of this is officially supported things. Like, I mean, other than, Oculus Link is an official support. SteamVR and Vive trackers working with base stations, that's official. The Space Calibrator has worked reliably for quite some time. And I don't think it gets broken as much. It used to get broken by updates. A lot of times just having to repeat a manual configuration step every time SteamVR updated, and that's no longer necessary, I don't think. But just keep that in mind. That's a big thing to consider. So in addition to the compromises of the Quest 2, and they are compromises, the differences that matter between an Index and Quest 2 from a base level VR standpoint, they're intentional compromises on the Quest 2 to make it cheap. They're not accidental. It's not something that Oculus as a company left off of their devices. It's something that Facebook as a company discarded from the devices to make them cheap. So you have these compromises, and now you're really facing, if you want full body tracking for a Quest 2, the difference between a Quest 2 as a minimum, we're not talking about comfort mods or anything else, out of the box, the cheapest Quest 2, the difference between the Quest 2 with base stations and an Index kit is $430, not $700. That is a economic reality. And so for $430 difference, you could go from compromising on just about everything to compromising on nothing. The only thing, the Index has no compromises. It has some less than ideal features that are just where it stands, but nothing was deliberately compromised. It's not like, oh, well, we could do this, but to shave $100 off the price, we're just going to do that. I mean, there may have been decisions like that coming in, but they didn't take quality audio that is almost a definite feature required by VR and ditch it to save money. Anyways, so there's no deliberate compromise. You get a complete package. Okay, now look at the Reverb G2. Now we're not just talking about full body tracking. Now you're talking about wanting controllers too. Well, that, if you still go with 1.0 base stations, the controllers are $280, and the dongles that you need we're presuming you don't have them. The only way to get them now, there's a company that sells some aftermarket ones that are $40 each. So you need 2 of those dongles in addition to the base stations. So we're talking about $80 plus $270. It's going to be $350. And then we add to that the cost of the base, or the cost of the controllers of $280, and we've got $630. Yeah. So $630 additional expense, assuming 1.0 base stations, just to have index controllers with a Reverb G2. So you're now talking about $1,230 for your complete kit. And again, that's fascinating that the same people that are defending the Reverb G2 to be the device they hoped it would be, because they can add index accessories, are also saying that $1,000 for an index kit is ridiculous, but they're literally proposing $1,230 or more, or maybe barely less somehow, to make the Reverb G2 kit be what they want it to be. Now, if you already have an index, if you already have trackers and everything, you have everything you need. Because if you're willing to not use your trackers, you can use your tracker dongles and recalibrate them for the index controllers. But I digress. If you're going to use that, it would be silly to sideline trackers instead of just spending $80 for dongles. But okay, so that's the whole conversation. If we want to actually consider where we want to go with VR, I mean, if you're just wanting out of the box, you're just new to VR, and you don't have any awareness of wanting full body tracking, and you just want a quality experience, you want to be competitive if you do play a game, you want things to look at. The reality is, out of the box, if you're very casual about what you want from VR, but you do want to play quality games, if you want the ability to be competitive, but you're not needing the best or whatever, if you just want your foot in the door of VR with the ability to be competitive, should you decide to, that's the Quest 2. If you're aware of some of these other possibilities, if you're aware of VR chat and how much full body tracking can enhance the game, that's where the equation changes. And as far as the out-of-the-box kits, that's where the index becomes the best value because it's the highest quality experience. The Quest 2 would remain your cheapest route to get there. But the Quest 2, or the index, is going to be your highest value. And there's so many caveats to this too. Like, it's your highest value, it's your best performance, but it also comes with zero hassles. None. You don't have to worry about how often you have to recalibrate, or anything changing, or anything including anything else. Everything works like it's supposed to with the index. And that adds a value that I can't fully explain to people that haven't experienced it. But I used to use the hybrid setup with an original Rift for full body tracking. And it is still a relief when I break out my trackers that it's now so simple and so reliable to have a full setup. So in addition to the cost and value considerations, there's an additional value of something being straightforward, fully supported with zero hassles or hoops that can't be fully expressed, but definitely is fully appreciated when you experience it. Assuming, especially by anybody that's not somebody that can have a $1,000 kit, have a $600 kit come out with better resolution, and buy that kit only for the better resolution to combine with their existing kit. Okay, so we're talking about people that are putting up with the hybrid setup to use the index, the Reverb with their index accessories, had $600 to burn, but they already had a super high quality experience. That's not everybody. Okay, so you can't let their ability to do that guide your decision on what you're going to purchase if you don't have the ability to do that. But so if we factor in the cost of base stations with every headset, and then add also the reality of needing the index controllers essentially as an is, because they are essential too for the Reverb G2, then your the index is still the best solid value, again, for some aspects of that are hard to explain. But price points are, the Reverb G2 is the most expensive. The index is $300 less than that. And then the Quest 2 is $430 less than the index, but it's compromised. So with the first two, you get, with the index and the Reverb G2, for what you spend, you get a very complete VR experience. And then you get a lot less hassle, and you get a straightforward, solid, turnkey quality of experience with an index. You have some steps you got to take with the Reverb G2. How much hassle that could potentially be over the long term, it's not known yet. First impressions are one thing. Having your VR, experiencing the impact of the hassles over time is going to be something different. And I say that from experience, experiencing those hassles over time with the device, and now no longer having those hassles. There is value to that. So, anyways, we're basically acknowledging people, with the exception of somebody that has no interest in full body tracking for VR chat, we're acknowledging that at least $270 in price difference for the index is a must-have option for every headset on the market. Eventually, the only difference is you don't have to buy it up front for another kit. You don't get it included. But when you want those features that SteamVR base stations make available, then it's not an optional additional cost. It's an eventual additional cost. And if you can afford or make it happen up front to just get the complete kit that comes with those, then you're basically getting premium VR for the $430 difference. And from a value standpoint, as an index user, as a Quest owner, never a Quest only user, that's important to stress. And I'm talking about the original, not the Quest 2. The price difference, without considering and getting technical like I just did about base stations being essential to get to the full experience, but not even really considering full body tracking. I mean, it is considered because it's available, but not considering it as essential. Just considering the base VR experience versus the base VR experience on the index. The index kit has been well worth a $700 difference. But now we see, if we do some math and look a little deeper, the actual difference in the price of the kits is not even $700. And that's still not even accounting once we get it down to a $430 difference, we're still not even accounting for what you're going to come up with for your audio solution for Quest 2 and what you're going to come up with for comfort. Very few people are going to be content with the Quest 2 out of the box. So I hope this helps. I hope it can be followed. It's difficult to keep simple, but hopefully just a simple, slow approach to it has helped. Hopefully the perspective works. And thank you for watching. I'm Digital Sticks, and I'm hoping to help people make the right decisions with VR technology. Try to keep it fair, try to keep it informative, try to keep it right and true, And the ultimate goal is not to steer you to one device or another, but hoping to steer you to the device that you should buy for yourself. Thank you, and have a good day.